Earth, 123 billion acres of some of the most exotic walks of life you could ever imagine. Thousands of species, some big, some small, roam the Earth's surface. Earth is where giraffes and zebras roam the savanna, where cheetahs stalk and hunt their prey, and where sharks graze the ocean's depths. Where the water rushes through Niagara Falls, and where the aurora lights dance in the dark night. All examples of how life showcases its beauty. And with life comes procreation. As humans, our natural instinct is to reproduce and continue our bloodline. In the US alone, there are 7,500,000 teenage pregnancies a year, but to reproduce at such a young age has serious repercussions.
Definitely.
High schools?
Yes, I did.
Growing up, it was a very big problem. You find that there were a lot of teen parents. High schools would allow students to actually be in the school throughout their pregnancy, and I think closer towards the end of their the pregnancy process, they would have to go to an alternative school.
Yeah, and I do think it is a problem. I think that there is more awareness about it now, so I think people are a little bit more cautious, but I definitely think that, no offense to you guys, but you've got teenagers and hormones and emotions and whatever else available, and so I think that it is still something that is an issue.
So, almost 70% of teen pregnancies are unplanned, and postpartum depression after childbirth, is twice as high for these unexpected mothers.
Oh man, I had a girlfriend who was pregnant in high school, and there's already the issue of having to deal with the fact that you are pregnant and trying to figure out what that looks like, even in relationship to the
In many
father
cases,
of the
the
child.
emotional stresses of teen pregnancies are too much for the teens to handle, causing emotional breakdowns.
I'm trying to figure out what the is going through your head. Whether you want to see that little girl who is sitting in that room, or if you want to walk away and go hang out with your crackhead friend.
These unplanned teen pregnancies put a great emotional toll on the teenagers, causing depression, anxiety, irritability, and even sleep disorders.
Rate of depression, I think you could. I would hope it wouldn't end up being something more extreme like suicide, but there's a lot of. I think it takes a really big emotional and mental toll on someone.
Not only does teenage pregnancy cause great emotional stresses, it also affects the teenager's potential in life.
If you want to raise this child, and that's 18 to 20 years, your life has completely been altered.
Child, but also just the social stigma that comes with it, and even the decisions of do you stay in school, do you not stay in school. So I think,
well, certainly when a teen gets pregnant and whether they can juggle finishing school or not, and if they have childcare, money, it's a huge issue.
90% of teen mothers drop out of high school, and less than 2% graduate college by 30. Without a proper education, it is extremely difficult to become successful in today's society. The average income of a high school dropout is $20,241 a year. This is only $4,311 above the poverty line for a single mother and her child. All these severe repercussions raise the question of what can be done to prevent such a serious problem. The answer is simple. Contraceptives must be available at public high schools. Teen pregnancy affects more than just the parents. In 2010, teen pregnancy cost U.S. taxpayers $9.4 billion. This is due to the 63% of teen mothers who receive some type of public benefits within a year after their child was born.
Not just the family, but also the government, because most of the people, they're teens, they're having children, and essentially they didn't have the resources to take care of those children. So from that standpoint, it became a hardship on everyone in the community.
And you can't provide financially for the kid because you're only a high schooler, and most of us don't have full-time jobs, so you can't provide a safe environment for the kids for them to grow up in.
However, Publicly funded contraceptives save $7.09 for every $1 spent on contraceptive services. In 2010, publicly funded contraceptives helped women prevent 2.2 million unintended pregnancies, which would have resulted in 1.1 million unplanned births and 760,000 abortions. These publicly funded contraceptives saved approximately $13.6 billion for U.S. taxpayers. Not only do publicly funded contraceptives save billions for taxpayers, they also help prevent the emotional stresses that go along with teen pregnancy. With teen pregnancies becoming more and more uncommon due to increased awareness and availability of contraceptives, fewer teens will be affected by the awful emotional stress that comes along with pregnancy. In addition, teens that avoided pregnancy now have a future ahead of them, with a high school and potentially college degree and a well-paying job replacing the prospect of living only $4,000 above the poverty line. While the availability of contraceptives in high school has numerous benefits, it does raise some serious questions.
The best place for it. I think you cross some lines as far as maybe you're promoting the activity. Okay.
However, studies say otherwise. According to a study at a Los Angeles County high school, the availability of contraceptives resulted in no increase in sexual activity among students. 1,945 students in grades 9 through 12 completed a self-administered, anonymous survey on their sexual behavior the year before a condom availability program was implemented at their school. A year after the program was put in place, students completed a follow-up survey. The amount of males participating in vaginal intercourse decreased from 55.8% to 55%. The amount of females engaging in this activity increased only from 45.4% to 46.1%, a negligible increase. The program did not promote sexual activity. In addition, the students already engaging in sexual activity increased their use of contraceptives by 25%. Also, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the leading organization of pediatricians, believes that, in the interest of public health, restrictions and barriers to condom use should be removed. In fact, recent research from Missouri and Iowa shows that when cost is removed as a barrier and women can choose from the full range of birth control methods, including the most effective ones, there were dramatic declines in unplanned pregnancy and abortion. With such a minimal downside, many students and teachers are still in favor of the availability of contraceptives in public high schools.
I do think they should be available at Johns Creek because most kids aren't comfortable talking with their parents about the topic, and so if they're provided at school, they can just kind of get them easily and wherever they're provided instead of having to go out in a public like grocery store to buy them.
Yeah, I also agree with what Emma said and do think that they should be available at school. It's definitely easier to walk into school and get them rather than going to a store. And if kids are kind of nervous to go out in like a really public place to get what they need to get, then it definitely helps.
That contraceptives should be available to high school students because unfortunately you can't prevent sexual activity if teens are really motivated to do it. But you do want to reduce the probability of them having a disease or preventing pregnancy. So yes, I agree that contraceptives should be available.
Yes, I do, because I feel like many parents are oblivious to what their children are doing behind closed doors and are scared of the reality of being a teenager in this generation. So I feel like it would prevent many kids from having STDs and all those other transmitted diseases. So yes, I do think that is a smart decision.
I believe contraception should be available in public high schools.
Yeah, because there's some stupid people out in high school, and we need to limit the stupidity. And also, like, teen pregnancy is pretty bad, so we need to limit that.
You know, it's a little hard for me to imagine that, but I also think that people are still having sex regardless, and I think that to have it available might help reduce some of the other issues. Like I've heard stories of kids not having stuff available and getting the wrong kind of contraceptives and different things like that. And so I think the increased awareness and availability could help prevent some of these problems.
In conclusion, Increased availability of contraceptives in high schools is a must for the betterment of our country. Showing no tangible downside, the upsides of the availability of contraceptives are plentiful. Besides saving U.S. taxpayers $13.6 billion and saving the U.S. government $7.09 for every $1 spent on contraceptive services, increased availability of contraceptives decreases the dropout rate of teens, since 11% of dropouts cite pregnancy as a cause. With fewer dropouts, more teens will graduate high school and go on to live productive lives, contributing to the U.S. economy. In addition, contraceptives can save teens from emotional stresses such as depression, anxiety, and even suicide that can sometimes be the effects of teen pregnancy. With all this being said, the only question you should ask yourself is, why hasn't this been put in place sooner?
Now I'm 4, 5 seconds